and gentlemen, my name is Kosi, and I will be your MC for the morning. I am your hype master, and I hope that each of you are ready to learn from our facilitators. Just a quick request, a personal request. May you, if you are able, switch on your video so we can see your wonderful faces this morning. I would like to see some smiling faces. Thank you, Guavas. Thank you, Sinate. Hi, everyone. And with that being, look at Wame just having a moment there. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, have your pen and paper ready. I have my pen and paper ready. And I would like to now hand over to our first speaker to give us tips and tricks of the trade of contest, Sinate. Are you ready, ma'am? I see you there. Ready. Thank you for that. Over to you, Sinate, for the tips and tricks session.
Righty. Good morning, District 74. I'm excited to be here. Hi. So this is the session where I'll be sharing with you on how to organize a speech contest, which means it's just about how do you prepare? I'm not going to get into too many rules. I'm just going to show you how to prepare, and then we can talk about anything and everything you want to know thereafter. Ms. Timer, please time me. Okay, thank you. All right, let me share my screen. All right.
You should be able to now.
That's fine. So to introduce myself, I am the current district chief judge. So if you have any questions about contest, I'm your girl. I would like to first start off with, and this is where I open up the conversation with everyone, to say, what do you actually want to get out of the session, so that when we do go through it, I'm aware of what your needs are, and also what we should then cover in the session and what we should cover in the upcoming sessions. So in the chat box, or you can raise your hands if you want to speak, let me know what you are looking to get out of the session. We don't move until you tell me.
So those of you unfamiliar with Zoom, you know where your mute and your unmute button is, right? So there's a bar at the bottom of your screen if you're on a computer, or at the bottom of the screen if you're on a phone, where the mute button is. If you look a little bit towards the right, or you go to more options, you'll find the chat option, and that'll open your chat box up and you'll be able to type something in there.
I see to run a successful contest, to sharpen, okay. All right. Oof. Okay, where do I start? Do that. Where do I start? All right, cool. Keep them coming. This is great. How do I do a briefing correctly? I love it. Yes. Then, right. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I won't get to all of them. Successfully facilitate a contest. Can a contest be hybrid, in person and virtual? I'll get to that. Purpose of the contest session and how it assists club success. All right. Learn the best way to how to run a contest. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, everyone. How to encourage our members to enter the contest. Wow. Now that I wasn't ready for. I guess we'll see how we can work around that. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's get into, so thank you for your messages. Miss MC, Toastmaster of the day, may you please watch out in the chat box if there are things I'm missing, and let me know if I need to address anything. I won't be able to see the chats at the moment. So let's go into what I have planned for you. For this session, we will cover what is a speech contest. What do you need to know? Where do you start with the speech contest? So Rebecca, your question will be answered. And then who forms part of the speech contest? Because at the end of the day, a speech contest can't happen with you alone. So we're gonna see who will be part of the speech contest, what resources you need, and we'll take it from there. And our next session will then be our panel discussion. So there you can ask as many questions as you want. Let's go. Toastmasters International has 6 different kinds of speech contests that they conduct on a yearly basis. Only one do they really care about, honestly, which is the International Speech Contest. In that International Speech Contest, that's where we end up with our world champion of public speaking. You know, our world champion of public speaking currently is in District 74, 30 prize. So that's exciting. How does speech contest work? Speech contest starts from club level, and the club organizes a speech contest. The winner of that contest then goes to area, division, and then district. That's how it progresses until we get to the world champion of public speaking for international speech contest. The District 74 this year, last year we only had international speech contest. This year we are having international speech contest, evaluation contest, and table topics. Exciting stuff ahead. So we look forward to having people participate in those contests. Now, when we say organizing a speech contest, who is responsible for that? Who makes the decisions? Who starts the process? Well, at club level, we're speaking about our Vice President Education. Our Vice President Education starts the whole process. If you're a VPE, you are the one who ignites the fire of speech contest for any club, any area, any division. If the club doesn't have a speech contest, we can't have all the other speech contests. So at club level, it's the Vice President Education, area level, area director, then division director for division level, and at the district level is the Program Quality Director. I am the district chief judge, and I have been delegated the role of organizing speech contest by the Program Quality Director. So the speech contest responsibility can always be delegated to a member of a club so that they could either do a level 4, level 5 project, or they could just delegate the role so that the speech contest is organized by someone else and they can focus on the things that are on the dashboards. Right. Write your questions in the chat if you have any questions. So where do I start? Where do I start? I am here. I have said I want to start and organize a speech contest, or my Vice President Education has said, oh, Senati, please help me. Please organize the speech contest. You start with the rule book. This is what it looks like this year. See the picture? Don't use any other one. If you use another one, you are looking at the wrong year. So this is the picture of the speech contest rulebook. So that's where you start. You download it from the Toastmasters International website, and you just have to make sure that you understand what the rules say about speech contest. We as District 74 also provide additional material, which will be up by end of this month, where we give you scripts and templates for writing emails, templates for agendas. This is what I intend to do for you. And you'll be able to then just easily download everything and make sure that you can organize your speech contest. We encourage you planning ahead at least 4 to 6 weeks in advance. 4 to 6 weeks in advance. Don't plan your speech. We're having a speech contest next week and we're starting planning now. It is a lot of work. It takes time and you need to prepare, especially your contestants, because you don't have a speech contest without contestants. Now, to explain what the 3 district contests are. The International Speech Contest is where a contestant writes their own speech, which is why we have a contest writing speech next week. Please join us for that. And they write the 5 to 7 minute speech and they present it in the contest format. There are judges who are sitting listening and they mark on how well they delivered on certain elements, which are on the judging ballot. Join us for the judging workshop to know what those criteria are on the 27th of November. Then we have the evaluations contest. In the evaluation contest, everybody is evaluating the same speech. That means there will be a demo speaker who will deliver a 5 to 7 minute presentation. That demo speaker will finish. The contestants will have 5 minutes to draft their notes in a breakout room, and one by one, they will be coming through to deliver their evaluation of that demo speaker's speech. That's exciting because now we learn how evaluations are done and we learn from the best how to do an evaluation. And we learn that an evaluation is also a speech. Cool stuff next week. The training will be happening. Then we have table topics. Table topics is exciting. I mean, in the club events, table topics is your opportunity to bring in your visitors and guests to deliver a 1 to 2 minute speech. In the table topics session, we will have one topic, so meaning people will be put in a breakout room so that they can't hear, and we'll have one topic that will be shared with each contestant and they deliver a 1 to 2 minute speech for each. I think we're clear on that. I haven't seen any questions pop up. No, I haven't seen any questions. We're moving on. Then, who can compete in these contests? Evaluation and table topics, you just need to be a paid member from a club in good standing. That's the only requirement. You can participate, you can give evaluations. So this is the contest where every single member in the club can participate. And this is where we need to encourage, use our motivation and persuading with power to ensure that most of our members participate in this. The International Speech Contest, which is what people get very emotional about, which is where you have an opportunity to go to become the world champion of public speaking. There, you need to at least have completed level 1 and level 2 in any project. If we are still working on the previous program, you need to have at least completed 6 projects, 6 speeches on the competent communicator module. But I don't think anyone in District 74 is still on competent communicator model, so that's why I didn't put it there. And you also still need to be a paid member of a club in good standing. And I believe, well, a paid member in a club in good standing. A club in good standing is a club that Toastmasters recognizes as having sufficient members, minimum of 8, and making also that the member itself has been paid. So who is not allowed to compete in this contest. These are contest officials. So if you're a contest chair, you can't be a contestant. If you're a chief judge or a judge, a timer, you can't be a contestant. And any of our district officials. So if you have taken up the role of program quality director, or you're an area director, division director, you cannot participate in a speech contest. And also if you've said, I want to next year be an area director, division director in cabinet, you cannot compete in a speech contest. I hope that is clear. Leeuw Mashizo, you have raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Senate, I hope I'm audible. I wanted to find out if I'm a contest chair at a club event, can I be a contestant at, like, in another district at the follow-up competitions later up in the system? Or is it just basically once I become an official at any level of contest, then I'm excluded for that particular, for the year from competition?
Let me answer your question because it's important. A contest official can so as a contest official, you can't be, you're only a contest official in the contest you are participating in, right? So if you're a contest chair in this contest, you can't compete, but you can be a contestant in another club contest that you belong to. So if you're a member of 2 different clubs or 3 different clubs, then you can still be a contest chair in any way, right? But if you are, as long as you're not competing on the where you are competing, you can only be a contestant. That's the first thing. As a contestant in the runnings as you compete, you must be careful. You can't, the rules say you can't actually select your own competitor, meaning that you can be all other contest officials except judges. That being a judge means you're selecting your own competitor, so you can't make that decision. So if you're competing, always the advice is just stay away from the judging role. You can do everything else in contest because contest is fun. We can participate anywhere else except as a judge. Are we clear?
I'm answered. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Let's move on then. If there are no other questions, that's fine. So, who are the people that make a contest? There's always a contest organizer. And I want to emphasize the contest organizer because this is the most critical person. This is the person who makes sure everything seems and comes together for the contest. This is the person who will go get role players and do all sorts of things. In a club, a contest organizer could be your VPE or any member of the club, depending on what you decide. Sometimes the contest organizer could be your chief judge who's organizing everything, depending on what has been agreed, or it could be your contest chair who organizes everything. But there's always the one person who is responsible for making sure that the contest happens and it's well organized. Linda Guhle, you have a question?
Yes, Sinata, I'm not sure if you saw the question from Bertus, which it says that if 2 clubs hold a joint club level contest, rather than each club having separate contests, are there specific contest rules that need to be heeded? So if 2 clubs are having a joint club contest, are there any specific rules that needed to be heeded in that specific situation?
Okay, so the contest rules remain the same. When we're having joint contests, it's nice. It's really amazing because then we're using the same platform, we have the same resources. However, each contest is always separate. So you will have KPMG Toastmasters being the first contest, and we finish that, and then we start the Wits Business School contest. So you'd have 2 separate contests. Those rules remain the same. The rules don't change based on the fact that we have 2 contests happening at the same time. You can share the officials. So you could have the same contest chair, you could have the same chief judge, but the contests are separated. Bertus, please continue.
Okay, last year between Capitol Hill Toastmasters and Open Society Toastmasters, we had a joint contest. I wasn't arranging it, but I'm VPE of Capitol Hill now, and we are planning the same for this year, or this contest cycle that's happening now. And last year it was done in a way where actually all the contestants participated in the same contest. That was my understanding.
Okay. All right. That's shocking. Look at my face. Okay. The contest rules specifically say each club must have their own contest. It can be in the same platform. You could have the contest happening in the same day with the same officials, but you start the first contest and finish it, and then the second contest. So the contestants present their speeches, and you are clear on when the first club's contest starts and when the first club's contest ends, and when the second club's contest starts and when it ends, so that the judges are always aware of which contest you're participating in. So the ballots needs to be, like when the judges are doing their ballots, they need to then have the names of the contestant in the first contest and the names of the contestants in the second contest, and they need to provide 2 separate ballot papers to the chief judge. So I think it's important to note that even if you organize the combined contest, just make sure you separate the contest.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Right, let's move on. Roles and responsibilities. For the chief judge needs to secure the officials. So that's the judges, the voting judges, and the rule book is specific about how many voting judges you need at club level, area level, division level, and district level, and how they should be separated, because that's different. And then a tie-breaking judge, timers, and ballot counters. So this is what the chief judge would normally organize, unless if the organizer is organizing everything. But because the voting judges are a secret and need to remain anonymous, it's always the chief judge who organizes voting judges. I would encourage it to remain that way, but I do know sometimes the organizer organizes judges, and well, the chief judge and the organizer know who the voting judges are, which is not ideal because there's too many people who know who the voting judges are. But the voting judges are the ones who ultimately are looking at what the contestants delivers and provides a ballot that then selects the first, second, and third place in a contest. And then the tie-breaking judge is the person that you'd go to and say, yeah, we have there's a tie in the ballot. So the judges have all, the results have all been tallied. We have 2 people who are supposed to be in first place. And when we do that, when we have 2 people in the same place, then we use the tie-breaking judge to help us break that tie, which means if Senate and Tebogo are both number 1, on the tie-breaking judge, then whoever is coming first will then end up being number 1, and then the person who's coming second would be number 2. So the tie-breaking judge helps break that, the results. And then we have the contest chair. The contest chair officiates the contest. So they are the person who's on camera, speaking to contestants, engaging with contestants, briefing the contestants, and making sure that they check the eligibility of the contestants. So the contest chair is the person who will run the show. And then you have Sergeant at Arms or Zoom masters, since we are online. And those are the people who make sure that you have an amazing experience. And they manage the room, and they make sure that there are slides and everything is pretty and fun and music, like what Anke does for us today. So those are the roles and responsibilities. And then we have various documentations that will be loaded on the District 74 website, but all these things are also available on the Toastmasters.org website. So from a documentation point of view, there's a lot of documents that we look at. We have the voting ballots for voting judges. For ballot counters, there's the tally sheet, counter tally sheets, and then there's time record sheets for the timers. So everything is available for contest. Contest is one of those things, because it's so highly regulated, every single thing that we use needs to come from Toastmasters International that we use to just communicate the results. So eligibility is important, where we check the eligibility of contestants. It's not just checking eligibility on because the person says I'm eligible, but we're also checking on the Toastmasters website if this person is actually eligible. And also we check the eligibility of the ballot counters, of the judges, sorry, of the judges. So those are the two role players that we need to check eligibility for. Everybody else just needs to be a paid member. That's it, that's great. We'll go into the specific contest rules when we do the contestants, for contestants, which is the next week's session, when we're looking at how to write a speech, how to, and table topics and evaluations. So going back to basics. And everything is available. I mean, everything will be available. All you need to do is just go onto the Toastmasters website to see what documents you need. I mean, when you download a table topics contest kit, you get everything in one folder. So you'll be able to see what you need to have. And District 74 will have a nice page with guidelines as well. End of November. So you should be ready for the contest season that starts in January. That's when contest season starts, and it will end in May. I'm excited about that. Upcoming trainings, it's the Getting Back to Basics. I've been mentioning them. I'm excited about them. Judging workshop on the 27th of November, and on the 11th of December, we'll be running successful contests. So that means you'll learn how to run your contest. So you will have officials, and we'll do things, and we'll have a mock contest so that you see in real life what it looks like to be running a contest. Those are the upcoming trainings. And if you have other requests for trainings, let me know, or items that need to be covered. During the contest season, you have division chief judges that will be helping all our clubs throughout the district in making sure that contest is fair and it's run well. These are the contact details. We'll share the slides with you after this. These are the contact details of all the division chief judges. We have all divisions. Last year I struggled. This year I have all of them before the year end. I'm so excited. And so that means that every single division has support. And where you're struggling, the division chief judges can always come to me. So there's information, there is support, there are people to ask. There is no reason why all our contests in the district can't be fair and exciting and run well. And there's plenty of training coming up, so exciting stuff. That's what I have for you. So this is the end of my presentation. How much time do I still have, Madam Timer? I have 4 minutes, which means I can take 1 or 2 questions. Are there any questions? No questions. I'm happy. Madam MC of the day, Linda Gushle, I hand over. Oh,
wait, there's a question. There's a question right there.
Well, there I was. Excited. Is the training available where the VPE can train club members on contest, rules, structure of the contest, how to do an effective speech? So, okay, so trainings are available on the Toastmasters website. There's also training videos that are available on that website. The material on the Toastmasters website as well. But I mean, I've put together this on how to organize how to organize a speech contest. I will have documents available on the website, but not specifically for VPE to train members, but more around how to do the contest. So, I mean, if there's a need for a VPE material, I believe Cranny B has been providing trainings on these things. I'll just have to check. I'll have to check. I can't actually answer this. All right. And then training for next week will be at what time? That will be from 9 a.m. till 11. We're trying to keep it consistent so that you always remember 9 a.m. till 11. So let's see how that goes. Right. That's the end of my session. Thank you very much, everyone. I love how engaged you were. We're moving on to the next round. Linda Kuhle, I hand over to you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Sinati, for that insightful session on tips and tricks on organizing a contest. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I feel like I learned a little bit there. I didn't know that there were so many technicalities behind a speech contest. And now we'll be moving swiftly along to the second segment, which is a panel discussion. And this will be handed up by our very own Tebogo. Tebogo, are you there? Are you ready, ma'am? Actually don't see, so.
Hey, I'm here. Oh, we've already been renamed as Tebogo and Sinati. I am here, Madam Day Chair.
Thank you so much. So, ma'am, may you kindly take it away? I yield control over to you for our panel discussion of the morning.
Thank you. Woo. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is indeed Tebogo Ramaahlo, and I have the pleasure to bring to you a roundtable discussion around how does the chief judge and the contest chair organize a contest? Where do they start? And joining me this evening, can I ask the Zoom master to please Zoom my fellow roundtable discussion participants. We have Robin Stone and Rebecca Sibiya, who will be our chief judge representatives. And in addition, we have Bame Motsumi and Wame Namponya, who will be engaging with us from a perspective of a contest chair. So ladies and gentlemen, please use your reaction icons to generate virtual energy to Rebecca, to Robin, to Bame, and Wame. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and thank you for joining us this morning as we go through the details of how does one organize a successful contest. I want to start with our contest chair representatives. And the first thing that I want to ask is it contest chair? Is it contest organizer? Or is it the day chair? What is the difference? We have all this terminology that we normally use. We just use it. I just feel like we just use it, but what is the difference between these three things? I've seen from our chief judge's presentation, there was contest organizer, I've heard contest chair, I've heard day chair. Which one of you ladies would like to tell us what is the difference? Is there a difference? I see, Wame, you look like you are ready. Take it away.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tebogo, for that question. As we saw earlier from Sinata's organogram, the contest organizer can be the individual who's responsible essentially for making sure the event is a success and works behind the scenes towards making the success of the event. And then the contest chair is the individual who's responsible for briefing of the contestants and also making sure that on the day that the contest runs smoothly. As far as the day chair is concerned, from my understanding, the contest chair doesn't necessarily have to be the person who's in the front at the time when the contest actually begins. So they can chair the event for the purposes of the day, although they will not be referred to as the contest chair. So perhaps maybe Bame has something to add to that, but that is my understanding of the distinction between the contest organizer, day chair, as well as the contest chair.
Cool. Bame, your understanding?
Yes, I think that she gave a very good rounded approach to it, that there's one that actually organizes the event, which means doing everything leading up to the event, which means briefing the contestants, prior to the event, and also coming up with the order of how they're going to be speaking and all of that, like all the behind the scenes stuff that's going to be happening. And then the other one is basically like your Toastmaster of the day of the event, where you're just directing the proceedings.
Awesome. So from what I'm hearing is that we have the one individual who brings all the pieces together to ensure that we have a successful contest. And this individual does not necessarily have to be the day chair, the person who is the Lindoguhle at the contest today, who is normally what we would call the Toastmaster of the day, who ensures that the program starts and runs on time, to say that this role can be bundled into different segments to ensure that we're not over relying on one individual. Then when I am the person organizing the contest, where do I start to ensure that this event happens?
I think probably the most important aspect about organizing an event is understanding the rules, because once you know the rules and once you familiarize yourself with the contest rulebook, you know exactly who all of the players are in the game. And I think one of the greatest features about Toastmasters is that there's a wealth of information available with respect to how you can do this. There's a specific checklist for the contest chair, there's a specific checklist for the chief judge, there's a specific checklist for the SAA on the day. So understand the rulebook and understand the resource material that comes with it, which will then help you in your planning and seeing where the pieces fall with respect to the organization of your contest. So that is one of the most important aspects. And then obviously they have the supporting documentation. For example, if you're going to do the contest briefing, you need to make sure that you have the eligibility as well as the profile for each of the members and things of that nature. So understand the rules. They are very clear and they also guide you on how you can organize a successful event, and the resource material is readily available on the Toastmasters website.
Okay, so we're saying that a contest is not like any other event that you would organize, but it has a set of rules that governs what needs to happen and when it needs to happen. Bame, anything that you want to add to that? What are some of these rules actually when I am organizing a contest that I need to be aware of?
What I actually found interesting being a contest chair is that there's actually like a script of what you supposed to say during the contest, because it's very different from a normal meeting where maybe after a person gives a speech and then you're supposed to demonstrate your active listening and maybe pick up a line or two from what the person was saying and then, you know, incite the crowd to cheer them on and all of that. But you'd notice that from one contestant to the other, you have to observe like a minute of silence, and then even the way you introduce the next speaker has to be very specific, because you don't want to incite some sort of bias for one speaker over the other. So it's very different from a normal Toastmasters meeting, in that there are those rules that you have to follow, and there's like a prescribed script to how you're supposed to direct the proceedings. So I just found that interesting as well. So definitely familiarize yourself with how the contest is supposed to be run, what you can and cannot say, and familiarize yourself with the script of how you're supposed to direct those proceedings itself.
I like what you're highlighting, that we actually even have the day chair script that guides you in terms of how to conduct the contest on the day, the things that you have to say, basically so that you avoid being biased to a contestant, and how that can subconsciously or consciously influence the judges. And speaking of the judges, I want to then move over to the chief judges. What is a chief judge? Why do we need a chief judge? And what are the roles and responsibilities of the chief judge? I see Robin's unmuted. I'll start with you, Robin. Why do we need a chief judge? And what is the roles and responsibilities of a chief judge?
I think what is important to remember is the chief judge, his purpose is not to judge. His purpose is to ensure that the voting judges fill their roles properly. I mean, the role players in terms of the contest, besides, of course, the contest chair, are the timekeepers. There are always two timekeepers. There's always two tally counters, and then there's your voting judges. and a tie-breaking judge who in fact is only known to the chief judge. And none of the judges, apart from the chief judge, I can rename myself as I'm done here and call CJ chief judge, okay? That's fine, but a judge can't. A judge can appear at the meeting, but without anything in front of his name. He'll just give his name. That's all it will be. And but the others, like the telecounters, can be named, and the timekeepers as well. So the chief judge's the responsibility is simply to ensure that all the judges and the telecounters and timekeeper are doing their job properly, to get the results at the end of the contest, to ensure that there's no ties amongst the contestants, and if there is, then the chief judge will look at the tiebreakers ballot, which will only have gone to the chief judge, and nobody will ever know who the tie-breaking judge is. So yeah, that's to keep it as fair as possible. Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, Robin. And I like what you said, to say that the chief judge, actually, the idea is they're actually not judging the contest or the contestants. Their job is to coordinate the team that will ensure that we have the results. The results are counted. It's interesting. So they like project manage the chief judge's team. That's your role. Rebecca, from your point, where do I start as the chief judge? What are some of the things that Robin didn't touch on that you want to share with us?
Thank you, Tebogo. For me, as a chief judge, I think that every process needs to be audited. So as a chief judge, you're making sure that the contest is a quality contest, whereby contest rules are adhered to. And you're making sure that if there is you're making sure that there is no protest, if I can put it that way, that the voting judge and all the role players are making sure that they're doing what they need to be doing. And for me, you also need to start by ensuring that people are eligible, making sure that the voting judges are also aware of changes that have been made in terms of the rule book, because every year the rule book is updated and there are some changes that are effected. So make sure that they are aware of that. I remember my first time as a judge, as a normal judge. We were told that, you know, have you judged before? And I remember I was the only person that has never ever judged. And it was like, okay, those that have judged before, then it's okay. Let us continue with this one that has not judged before. And they gave me the rules. And in my thinking, I was thinking that it means that every year I will say that I have not judged, because there are changes that have been made, but also you might be comfortable. You might be somebody that has been taught by somebody who did not adhere to the rules, and you take those and go ahead with. So it's very important for chief judges to ensure that you do a proper briefing every time, a proper briefing, whether a person has judged or not. So for me, even that question is even irrelevant.
Who has judged before? That is so interesting. I love what you just shared with us, to say that every time, and I just want to quickly go to the chat box. I see Faso saying that this is still about the contest then, and thanks Anke for confirming that. And I want to say, yes, this is all about the contest, because remember, we are here to say that how do I organize a successful contest? And part of this conversation is to unpack those things that will make or break the contest. For example, if we have a chief judge who releases other judges without briefing them and only briefs Rebecca, it means that the other 3 judges that are sent to go on a break or are on recess while Rebecca is being briefed, it means that only Rebecca will be the only one who's told about the change in rules. That's why the rule book, every year we have a new rule book. I mean, I could say that I've judged before, but I judged in 1974. Are the rules still the same in 1974 and in 2021? Absolutely not. So yes, Faso, everything about this conversation is how do we run a successful contest? We have a chief judge who knows what he's doing, but we have a contest chair who is a bit unsure about some of the things that need to happen on the day or before the day. Will we still say that we have a successful contest if somehow somebody dropped the ball? I doubt it. So I want to go back to, I see Robin's mic was unmuted, but I want to say, what are the roles and responsibilities? We speak about the chief judge, and Robin, in a high level, you touched on the different roles that we find in the chief judge's team. Why is it important that the chief judge observes and coordinates, and what are these roles and responsibilities of the different people that we find in the chief judge's team?
Well, apart from the judges themselves, who will follow the, we were given a, Toastmasters International supplies us with a scoring sheet, and that is used, we'll talk about that more a bit later, it's used as a guideline for the eventual placement of the contestants. But it's quite specific in the criteria. The other is, of course, the timekeeper. The two timekeepers, and they are active throughout the contest. They have to obviously time the speeches and also time things like the 1 minute break and all that sort of thing, so that the contest can run properly. The timing is extremely strict, and contestants must realize that. Even at the international speech competition, people at that level can get quite disqualified because of what would seem as minor breaches on time. So if you speak for 7 minutes, 31 seconds, your result is disregarded. And you know, people come to grief on that. And you've got to know your speech times. In the contest that we'll be doing, speakers will get the time signal, but in the international speech contest at international level, you don't. You have to know your own time. So, you know, one's got to practice. The message there is for the speakers to practice. The judges actually send their voting forms straight through to the tally counters. And the tally counters, there are 2 of them, and they're joined by the chief judge or not, as the chief judge can determine. Nevertheless, still responsible for their work. They then work out the placement order and then present that to the chief judge. The chief judge also gets the timekeeper reports and, of course, the tie-breaking judge report. So that is the that's the first thing. That enables the chief judge to determine the order, the success order of the contestants. And the other thing, of course, he does, if there's an objection, I've never come across an objection myself, but if it does happen, the only people that can make an objection is one of the voting judges and also one of the contestants. So, you know, if somebody wants to challenge, usually on the basis of something like originality and so on, they have to do it before the result is announced. They have to do it to the chief judge, who will then determine how that objection is to be dealt with.
Awesome. Awesome one. Thank you so much, Robin. And I just want to highlight that one of the things that really stands out is that there's always 2 of everything. 2 timers, 2 tally counters, and there's a reason behind that and how the roles are defined. Other people will call it a clear delegation of authority that's determined. And Rebecca, I want to come back to you, right? We're speaking about how to organize a successful contest. And as the chief judge, what's on your to-do list? What should be on my to-do list? Where do I start? Who do I need to talk to ensure that I am ready for the contest that's happening in 3 weeks' time? I mean, the district chief judge said that we don't prepare for the contest a day before. I thought we prepared a day before, Senate, but apparently not.
I think for me, what is important is collaboration. So as the chief judge, it's very important for you to collaborate with the contest chair, because whatever that is happening, the two role players, they cannot work in silos. Then as a, for instance, as a contest chair, it's very important for you to make sure that all the contestants are there. If the contestant is not there, then you need to be informing the chief judge as a simple thing. Because I mean, there's a rule that is pertaining to whether you would allow a contestant to still continue if the contest start without the contest not being there. So for me, collaboration is very important, but also competence. And competence, I'm saying that not to say that you need to be a I don't want to use the ancestor of, the ancestor in Toastmaster, because there are new people that I know that knows the rules, that make sure that they know what is required. So I'm saying competence in the sense that you know what is expected of you. And my encouragement is to make sure that you balance the person that has been a Toastmaster for some time, or somebody who has participated as a contest role player with somebody who has not. Because then, for instance, if you have two timekeepers, because I know that at times we'll say, timekeepers, it's okay, you can get anybody else. If Tebogo and Rebecca has been, new Toastmasters, let them put them there. But Rebecca and Tebogo might not realize the importance of 1 minute, or not even 1 minute, of the 1 second disqualification. As a Toastmaster, I remember my first time participating in the contest. I was disqualified for 2 seconds. And the advantage was that somebody who was a role player was able to tell me, because that was my mentor, to say, yes, you were disqualified and this is how it actually works. And sometimes people don't actually realize that. So we are busy, me and Tebogo being busy with whatever that we are busy with. We don't realize how it can disadvantage the contestants, because it is very important. Ballot counters as well is very important, because if you've got 1, 2, 3, as Wame said, there's 1, 2, 3, and Bame says there's 1, 2, 3. If you don't realize the importance of putting those 3 points when we're doing this, the background now, and I'm a new chief judge, for instance, I don't actually realize how that it will affect, the winners. Then we might be having 2 winners or 3 winners at the same time, and I am affecting the chair, or whoever that is going to announce the winners. But also for me, commitment. If you are saying that I need to be there, let us know whether you are coming or not coming, whether you've got a problem with, a bandwidth or whatever the challenge is, because you committed. And we have Toastmasters values to live by. So let us make sure that we do that. So simple things that you need to know is that please know how to pronounce people's names, whether it's Sinate or Sinate, or know how to do that. Also, as a chief judge, you need to know the sequence, because I might be judging Tebogo, whereas I'm supposed to be judging Bame. So those things are very important. And that is just a glimpse of what a contest is about. And this maybe might be too fast, so I know that you had a question. So everything that we're talking about is about the nitty-gritties of the contest, and they are very important.
Sure. I think you just highlighted the importance of briefing every role player and making them understand what's at stake. A contest is not like a normal Toastmasters meeting. The minute we go into contest, things change. I want to go back to my contest chair representatives, and my question is, what's on your to-do list? You are the contest chair. There is this contest is happening in 3 weeks' time. What's on your to-do list? what are the things that you know that this I need to do? What's on your to-do list? I'll start with Bame, because I know I've been starting with Wame, but I'll go to Bame. I like the names, Wame, Bame,
Yes, so one thing that's definitely on my to-do list is, of course, the first thing is familiarize yourself with the rules, which we've already spoken about, and then briefing the contestants. And then sometimes it's also good to have like maybe a dry run of the contest itself, because like prior to the actual contest, so that they can get a feel of how the contest is going to run. So I think that's just my top 3: familiarize yourself with the rules, and brief the contestants, and maybe also have a dry run. This all prior to the contest itself.
Thanks, Bame. Wame, beyond what Bame has shared, what's on your to-do list? You're the contest chair. The contest is coming up in 3 weeks' time, and maybe it's a week before the contest. What's on your to-do list?
Okay, over and above what Bame has already said, I think you have to also be liaising with your chief judge. As Rebecca already noted, there's actually a very close relationship between you and your chief judge. So they have to also be sure that you are doing what you're supposed to have been doing. Because by the time you communicated with the chief judge on the event, you would have already had the briefing, you would have already have chosen the speaking order, and those are things that are communicated to the chief judge, for example, so that they don't then, for example, make the wrong ballot and put things in the incorrect order. So it's really important to make sure that you liaise with your chief judge and that both of you understand where each of you are, because you have to make certain confirmations to the chief judge just as much as they have to make certain confirmations to you. Like, for example, that the judges have been briefed. You are not necessarily responsible for that, but it has to be something that during the contest, and it's also part of the script, you have to confirm that the judges have been briefed, that the contestants have been briefed. So all of those things have to also happen in the background, you together with the chief judge liaising together. And then, of course, there's the regular administrative things, making sure that the event has been confirmed. Like, for example, we're online, we need to make sure the links have been shared with everybody to make sure that everybody comes in on time, understanding what time we actually expected to be there. And I think Bame also mentioned a good point about having a dry run, because at that point you can then confirm all of that information, the time when contestants are expected to be there, because as already noted by Rebecca, if you're expected to be there at 6 o'clock and you're not there, then we can consider you not participating in the contest, because there's specific rules around you being actually physically present or online at the time when the contest begins. So those are the kind of administrative background things you have to make sure are being communicated. And obviously necessarily you have to have your agenda ready. The agenda will be filled in as and when, for example, the speaking order is organized, but you have to have a working draft of how that's going to be readily available for both you and the chief judge to be shared on the day of the event. And then things like certificates also have to be organized, things like the tally counters, what they're going to be using, and the judges' scripts also have to be there. So you have to make sure that you have that pack ready for dispatch just before the contest starts, and that everybody's familiar with how they are to interpret, read, and use those various documents. So that is part of the Toastmasters pack for contest, and every single person has to have what they will need on the day. And then also during your briefing, understand things like, will you be making use of any props, any equipment that we're going to have to know for, understanding the speaking area, understanding and testing microphones and videos. So there are a lot of things that go into it beforehand. And because the contest itself, once you've started, once now you say the contest is now open, there isn't time for those types of things. And all of those things have to have happened beforehand. Choosing the speaking order, understanding if they're going to be making use of any props that will require you to use sound or to use presentation, things of that nature have to have happened way before the time, and it's your responsibility as a contest chair to make sure that those things are done. Because when you come on and you see things happening and you see screen sharing and you wonder how did that happen, it all happens beforehand. And like Bame noted, a dry run would actually be very helpful in that instance to make sure that people know how they stand, where they stand, when to stand, and most importantly, that they've signed the eligibility criteria, that they actually do qualify to compete in the contest. Otherwise, if you do, whether you make it at club level and you make it to an international stage and it's then found out that you are not eligible, you are disqualified automatically. So those are the most fundamental things, making sure that you're actually eligible in terms of the rules. So yeah, I think I've spoken enough, but yeah.
One of the things that, and then thanks for sharing. And one of the things that stands out for me is you spoke about once we officially say that the contest has started, it has started. So it means that I can't pause the contest for my friend Jabu because, you know, he was stuck in traffic. I can't do that. Why is that important?
No.
That
equal opportunity and an equal chance to participate. So we should all be playing on the same rules. So unfortunately, like what Rebecca noted, the rules are very, very strict when it comes to contests, such you can be disqualified from a 1 second not being there. So if everybody comes at the right time, on time, and you don't show favoritism or any bias to anybody else by now allowing somebody who was supposed to be the first speaker, doesn't show up on time, and they're now allowed to speak as the 8th speaker. Why should we be giving certain people such allowances? So your friendships don't count there, because you are under strict rules from Toastmasters International, and it's you in your capacity as a member of Toastmasters who's doing this, not as a friend, because then I can also do that for my friend, you see. So then it creates a biased situation. Everybody should play on the same footing, on the same level, which is why everybody should be briefed, everybody should be eligible, everybody should come at the same time, so we don't have instances where you're now affording certain people certain privileges that others will not be able to get.
I like that. I thought all the people that I call friends in Toastmasters, those friendships will be beneficial, but apparently not. And I want to go back to the chief judges. I want to ask about a scenario that was shared with us this morning about how a contest was hosted. It was a joint contest, but all the contestants were competing in one contest. What could we do in the future to avoid that situation?
Okay, Tebogo, from my side, yes, we have had a combined contest. And the reason why there is a combined contest is that also we use the same resources. But as Sinati said, it does not mean that we break the rules. It must be very clear that the winners of the different clubs are announced. And it must be very clear also that, the rule applies, because the rules are the rules. And for me, things that come into play now, it's things like integrity, for instance. Remember that if we are having a contest, somebody might be put in a breakaway, and because of bandwidth or challenges with the network, you are disconnected. Let's say, for instance, if you're doing table topics, it is your role as a human being to have that integrity and to use those values, that you don't listen to the other contestant, or rather for the Zoom master to make sure that you are put in the breakaway room, quickly. But that is something that we cannot really do away with, because connection is connection. We don't have control over that. But also, I think we need to be prepared, either as our chief judges or as our contestant chairs, to say that if things are happening, the audience should not be seeing the, how can I put it, disorder, if I can put it that way. I call myself a Toastmasterholic, because that's where I learn, that's where I grow. And when I see unprofessionalism, I get goosebumps, because we have a lot of resources, we have a lot of mentors, we have a lot of people who can actually coach us. So let us do things in the right way. I mean, I remember, and I like using my experience, because last year I had to be an impromptu contest chair. I was not prepared. I was not even going to that contest. Somebody just invited me and I went there, and the contest chair was unable to connect for whatever reason. And I decided, you know what, I am taking that break because I want people who are guests to experience what Toastmasters is all about. And maybe also because of my DTM, I did an area contest as my project, and the people that were my committee or guidance committee members, they even made me to repeat certain things that was not according to Toastmasters. So for me, quality, excellence is what we need to be doing. And if I can just suggest that the timers be part of the chief judge's briefing as well as the contest chair briefing, so that there is no disconnect. That will be my suggestion. And I also know that as judges would want to know that, especially if I'm new, that, you know, I was a judge, I want to name myself. Please do not name yourself, because you know what, being anonymous and being named is such a contradiction. So let us just try to be considerate of the rules as well in lighter ways. So I can just imagine Division A.
Wait, Rebecca, I'm sorry, but why are you taking my shine? I was a judge and I want everybody else to know that I was a judge. Why shouldn't I make it known? Hashtag on Instagram, on Facebook. Why shouldn't I post that I'm a judge and then post a glimpse of the ballot? Why is it important?
Yes, Tebogo, you want to be known that you are a judge, but if your judges are supposed to be anonymous and we are there, we know that you are a judge at this contest, how is that for anonymity? And I don't even want to go to common sense. I just don't want to go there. So yeah, so let us not contradict ourselves. But I know that for Division A, we are there for, and I'm actually encouraging this for the different divisions, for the different areas as well. Let us go for excellence, because we don't want protest. We also don't want to disadvantage our contestants, and we don't also want to teach those that are new Toastmasters to say that our standards are low. With Toastmasters, it is fun with excellence and high quality. Let us maintain that.
I like that. I like that. And please, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, feel free to send your comments in the chat box and also your questions. I'm not doing this alone. I mean, I'm asking what I want to ask, but also you have an opportunity to ask what you want to ask, and also share scenarios that we can actually use to unpack and prepare for the possibilities of something like that happening, or working towards mitigating that. And I think I just want to touch on the issue of why, as a chief judge, or as a judge rather, your identity is anonymous. It's so that if I don't win, and I want to know why did I not win, I don't come after you and harass you for answers. Or I would feel that because last week I did not share my ice cream with you, that's why I lost. You see how it makes you, it's there to protect you and the other party. And then Robin, I want to come to you to say that, what are some of the challenges that you've encountered in your experience as chief judge, somebody who is on the other side observing, and somebody who is actively a chief judge or a judge during a contest?
I think especially in this online environment, it's getting everybody in line and getting everybody, because you've got to be quick. And not all of us are quick, I'm afraid to say. That's just the reality. And some people struggle to sort of calculate what their speaking order was and all this sort of thing. That has been a challenge as a chief judge, trying to get everybody into line. We even had a situation where one of the timekeepers bombed out, so then you're left with one timekeeper. That's a problem on its own. So I think it's that. This environment is challenging. I think it's getting better. I think people are knowing how to work with the environment much better. But like I had this morning, I just had no connection. And so I arrived here late. I mean, nothing I could do. And I just want to comment, though, on the issue you raised, that speakers, if they know who the judges are, speakers will go to the judge and say, what could I have done better? And so on. The judges are not allowed to comment. In fact, nobody must comment on the speeches given. I'm talking about in terms of the contest officials. No, so the contest chair, after the speaker's completed his task, just says thank you and moves on to the next one. That's all. There's nothing more than that. But if a speaker does want to get feedback, then I suggest that the speaker, especially if they're serious, gets their speaking coach or the mentor, whoever it is, to actually undertake that for them. And that's done on a personal basis. Yeah. Thanks.
I like that. And thanks for adding to that and sharing and making it clear that anyone, whether you're the tally counter or you're the timer, you are, the minute you sign those forms, you are committing to not discussing the contest with any of the contestants. It's not your place. We've got 2 questions, and it's interesting then, just in time, when I go cross over to the contest chairs, to my contest chair representatives. Grace wants to know, in case there's load shedding and a contestant is unable to log in, what can be done? You are maybe let's say you are the one who is the day chair of the day, you are facilitating the program, I'm busy delivering my speech, then my video starts freezing. The next thing, I disappear, I'm offline. What happens? What do we do?
From the last year's contest, what happens is that you are given an extended amount of time in order for you to finish your speech. I think you're given an extra 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes on your regular time in order for you to reconnect and come back. But unfortunately, if after that time you've been unable to do so, we move on to the next speaker, unfortunately. And I've seen it happen in other contests too. So they make an allowance for an extra, I think 2 minutes on top of the regular speaker you have, and
it's 30 seconds.
They give you that time. Yes, exactly, 30 seconds. And if you're not back in after that time, unfortunately, then you are disqualified and will not be allowed to continue. And you will not be allowed to come back and then say, well, I was disconnected and then you. So that's just the unfortunate thing about online setting now, is that if you've exceeded the allowed time, yes, yeah, it's 8 minutes in total. So that's an extra 10 seconds, then unfortunately, you'll not be able to continue.
I like how you, and I guess it's listening, I like how you changed it. You were like, you were said you are disqualified. You actually said you are not allowed to then finish, right? Because the contestant is not disqualified. Just that time. Yeah, it's like a time thing where when you came back, the 8 minutes was finished and that's it. You can't carry on. And there's another question I will direct it to you, Bame, to say that, do we organize the speech evaluation? Do we organize the international speech contest evaluations and table topics as one contest?
Yes. Simple answer is yes. You can have all 3 types of speech contests in the same contest. So what you can do is just divide it up to say that now we're doing the speech competitions, the international speech, and then you move on to the table topics, then you move on to the evaluation session. But you can have all 3 types of speech contests in the same program. So the simple answer is yes.
Cool. And I like that. Oh yes, I see Rebecca had also asked. So there's a question from Bertus where he says that, what does the rule say about recording the contest? Admittedly, I have not yet checked the rules on that. I have seen some contests recorded and some not. Anyone from my round table can answer that question. Are we allowed to record contests? At what level, which level are we not allowed to, are we not allowed? Are we allowed? When are we allowed and when are we not allowed to record a contest? I'll also look to the chief judge to my left. Are we allowed to record a contest?
I can come in audio.
Okay.
So the rule book does not specifically say we can't record the speech contest. Mm-hmm. It just says that the recording can be shared at a later stage. So it's not something that you record and then you make it readily available to members of the audience or anything like that. So it doesn't prevent you from recording the speech contest. Where there are rules around recording is when you're doing this district international speech contest, mm-hmm. because in the district mm-hmm. competition,
yes,
we send those videos to the regional on the semifinals, and that's what's used to then proceed the winner, the champion of the district to the various levels after district.
Okay.
So those then have specific rules around it.
Awesome one. Thank you, Senator, for coming in. And Bertus says, cool, he's got that. And I want to ask the contest chairs before I move to our chief judges, is, in your experience, you know, or maybe I'll use my case study as something that I've observed is that sometimes, especially even in the online room or in the physical previously before we were online, is at any event, whether it's a contest chair or whatever event we have as Toastmasters, there'll always be somebody who knows more, or there'll always be somebody who's been a member for more years than you have. How have you dealt with that experience in the room? Because sometimes we tend to overtake, we want to hand over, we want to take over, we want to tell you what to do, we want to tell you what not to do. How have you dealt with that if you've experienced it, or how would you advise someone to deal with that?
Okay, I think I can get.
Sorry, no, Bame, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, no, I just wanted to get the ball rolling on that one to say that as Toastmasters in itself, it's supposed to be an experiential learning experience. Like, we're learning through doing. So I think that there has to be some sort of emotional intelligence to say that even though I know better because of experience, somebody else is also going to be doing this for the first time, and maybe they have a spin on things that is different. So I think it's also incorporating that individuality to say that how you would approach things and then learning from that. So yeah, it's just, yeah, that was a bit of a tough one, but I think that as Toastmasters, we usually know how to navigate such situations because we want somebody to learn through their own experiences. So as somebody who has more experience, all you can do is just guide them and give them advice and just tell them these are the possible pitfalls and whatnot, and then let them discover the path for themselves. Yeah, I think Wame can go on.
Yes, thank you so much, Bame. I personally haven't had an experience of that nature, but I will echo Bame's sentiments in the sense that we're all learning here. And sometimes doing something for the first time, you will fumble a little bit, but I believe as long as you are within the confines and corridors of what Toastmasters expects from a contest, and you're not going too far beyond the bounds, and you should be able to be assisted in that way. So as long as you maintain the Toastmaster standards, and I think, yes, what she said also is correct, that we should allow people to learn from their own personal experiences, but also to try and also frame certain things to make sure that we're within the confines of what is expected at contest level and what is expected in terms of the rules. So we can have that leeway, but not too far away from what the contest is all about and how you expect it to perform during a contest in itself.
What I'm hearing is stick to the rules, and as a community and as a support, as other people attending the contest who might be more experienced, your role is to support, be supportive, apply a little bit of emotion, and not a little bit, but be supportive, because we say that we are a safe learning environment. Be supportive to help the other fellow Toastmaster who might not be in the know according to one thing on a point, make sure that you share information with them. It's on a point contest chair. I believe that since the contestant has dropped off, this is what needs to be done, but also do it through the right channels. The contest chair, we have the chief judge that you can touch base with. We have the contest chair that you can immediately speak to say that. And I want to go back to Rebecca and Robin to say that for them as the chief judge, this whole experience thing, how can I capitalize on the experience in the room, and what has been your experience, from a chief judge point of view? Have you, or maybe to add, maybe not to add, but to re-ask my question is, you are the chief judge, Njabula Taylor, who is the district director, is also attending that contest. Does Njabulo have a room to say that, do this, do that? Do you listen to Njabulo? Who's your guideline? What is your guideline? What is your compass? Do we have someone who's above the rules when it comes to contest? And how does one deal with the experience in the room when the experience is interfering?
Well, first of all, I don't think anybody is above the rules as such. I mean, the rules are the rules. And so the rules guide us. I don't know why I'm at this strange angle, but anyway. You know, the rules guide us in what we are trying to do. But as far as experience, though, is concerned, I mean, the rules take you so far. But there's practical experience that one does have to gain and also draw on from others. I mean, I was chief judge of this division last year for the first time, and I have in Division E there's some incredibly experienced and knowledgeable Toastmasters, and who are far more experienced than I am even. And I did draw on them, and I always do, because I appreciate their wisdom and know-how. So I don't think one must discard it, but they're certainly not above the rules.
Mm.
If it comes to that interpretation of rules, then we have numerous resources to deal with that, such as I think the district parliamentarian and so on, that we can go to for things like that, or even international. So yeah, the rules can't be just overridden by anybody, no matter how esteemed that person might be.
Mm. I like that no one is above the rules. And Rebecca, there's a question in the chat box. Lerato wants to know, is there a limit as to how many contestants we can have per contestant is at a club level? And I think within that, let's keep it short, sweet, and simple. I think we are almost running out of time. Rebecca?
Thank you, Tebogo. I'll start with the previous question. So for me, psychological safety is very important. Emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, as well as common sense, which is different for different people. So when you're correcting somebody, ask yourself, do you want to build that person, or do you want to break that person? And what do you want that person to take away from there? In terms of the number of people in the club level, for me, I would say that what is the practical number that the club can have in terms of contestants? But at club level, I am not aware of the limit in terms of the number of people, but I can verify with the district chief judge, there is no limit in terms of the number. But I know that Lerato, people will, you will sometimes actually struggle to get the number that you want. And but having said that as well, in terms of the number, I would also want to clarify that in terms of the new, if it's Lerato, I'm not so sure if it's Lerato Mafura. If it's Lerato Mafura from, it's not Lerato Mafura.
It's Lerato Shakung.
Okay. So if you are from a charter club that is less than a year, you don't have to go through the CC6. You don't have to go through the pathway level 1, pathway level 2 completion. Your club will be permitted to have a contest. And that I'm saying it from the real book. And if the question about, let's say, Njabulo Teller, us, are telling us to do something, for me, the rule book will always be my reference, and there are protocols, there are guidelines that I would follow in order to make sure that I adhere to the rules. And the rules are helping us as the chief judge, as well as being fair to our members. If you want to protest that in Njabulo, there are other ways that you can protest, but I know that you are able to protest my leader through the chief judge and the contest chair. And if you are a member of the audience, I don't know if you can actually protest. No, there are rules. No, as the member of the audience, no, you cannot actually protest.
So
Yes. So yeah, with
Okay.
respect, my leader. Thank you,
No, it's
Tebogo.
good. And then, ladies and gentlemen, a disclaimer: Njabula will never ask you to do things that are not.
I
in the
know.
just saying, in case he watches this recording. There's a question from Cheryl, and I'll ask you, Robin, to answer us. Cheryl says, what are the rules if a club decides to only hold the international speech contest? Going forward to area contest, can the club elect a member in good standing to represent the club in area? Are there any requirements to allow this?
I've just had a look at the rule book. So in other words, you're talking about the old system we had of nominating somebody to go forward in the contest. Now, as I understand the rule book as it is now, and somebody can verify this for me, anybody that is now fallen away, and even if you do want to nominate somebody, they still have to go through the process. In other words, they still have to deliver their speech at club level. They still have to fill in the eligibility forms and all that sort of thing, be judged and be timed, and then they can go forward. I think this is very important, because otherwise one sort of damages the integrity of the process if one doesn't do that. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone who wants to add to that? It's interesting because what I'm picking up, it's the concept of, I've known in other instances where a club will nominate someone and the club will decide to make the contestant almost compete against time. Ooh. And then if that particular contestant goes over time by a minute, guess what? They're disqualified, even though they're the only person in their club, because you are deciding to make your contestant race against time. It's a disqualification, even though they are alone. It's tough. Integrity. It's interesting because contest time brings the word integrity, and we have to do it. It doesn't matter what it is. Contest chair, closing comments. What if the chief judge wants to clarify, especially on Cheryl's question?
So Cheryl, if the club does not, or members of the audience, if the club decides to not hold a contest, they're still allowed to nominate someone as long as they still meet the requirements of that speech contest to advance to the area. They can hold, clubs can decide which contest they hold, and if they only hold the international speech contest, it's all right, and then they can nominate for the other contests.
But should you make your contestant compete against time and they go over by a second, they're disqualified. Don't start fighting people. It is what it is. So in closing, now she distracted me. I don't even remember what I wanted to say, but in closing, contest chairs, what is it that you want to share with us? How do we make sure that we hold a successful contest? For you as a contest chair, what does integrity mean, especially at the contest? Wame, I'll start with you.
Yes, thank you so much, Tebogo, for that. Being a contest chair is a very fulfilling position to hold. You are behind the scenes. There's a lot of organizing, and you get to kind of learn a lot of things about yourself. But what's important really is to just maintain the integrity of the Toastmasters model in terms of contests. There is a very specific rulebook that is there for your guidance. There are very specific scripts that you have to be using, and you have to be shown to make sure that everybody understands what those rules are, how they are applied, and why they are being applied in a certain way. The question that you raised with respect to having only one person doing and then they go against time, if they go to the next level and they do the same thing, they will definitely be disqualified. So we need to make sure that in people this idea, this notion that the rules have to be followed and that there are no exceptions to be followed for any individual, unfortunately. So being contest chair, make sure you understand your rules. Make sure that you also just be yourself to a certain extent, but make sure that the rules are the ones that govern how you fulfill your role and you will not have any issues. So yeah, looking forward to the next contest season and seeing what comes up and who comes up. So thank you so much, Leeuw, for having us and for that poignant question, last question.
Okay, cool. And thank you, Wame. Bame, Kagiso has a question. In you wrapping up in 34 seconds, Kagiso also wants to know, where can I access the contest rules? I am new to this role. And Kagiso, maybe tell us, what is this role that you are new to? Bame?
Yes, I think that it's already been mentioned that if you want to know anything about what's supposed to happen in Toastmasters, the Toastmasters website is your go-to. So definitely, just even if you go on Google and say contest rules Toastmasters, whatever you say, contest rules or chief judge Toastmasters, ballot counter Toastmasters, you will get those resources. Those resources are available on the Toastmasters website. And I'm sure even other districts and all that, they have those compiled on other websites as well. So definitely Google is your friend. So you can definitely just get all that information online, especially on the Toastmasters website. So in wrapping up is just to say that you're not alone in this process. Also, us other people, lean on your club. Because I remember my first time as contest chair was the first time that we're having it virtually. So I really needed to lean on my mentor, lean on the other club members. And I also attended other contests around the world to benchmark as well, to see what is best practice, how are things supposed to be run, and all of that. So definitely preparation, be informed, read the rules. I can't emphasize that enough. So I think that's all from me, but definitely contests are fun. It's really a chance for you to test what you've been working at for the last 6 or whatever months. So I really encourage a lot of people to compete, and even being part of the organizing committees, like as a contest official, it's very, very fulfilling role.
Cool. Thank you, Wame. Definitely, I see Corbis says that, can we have a copy of the presentation? I recall the chief judge saying that the presentation will be shared with the attendees. And I see Kagiso says that he is the VPE. Robin, in closing, what are some of the things that you want to share with us? If I'm the chief judge, what is it that we should take note of?
I think we must remember the responsibility we have as chairs, as judges. It's an awesome responsibility. This time last year, we must remember somebody in Cape Town was wondering whether they should participate in the competition, and that person went on to win the international speech competition. It's an awesome responsibility. We owe it to all our members to get it right, because we have no idea who is sitting there, standing there, and who's going to be eligible to go ahead and actually take the crown. We just don't know. It could be anybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. Like, I literally just got goosebumps to say the responsibility that we have. And to Wame's point, if you allow somebody to go through and they are disqualified, but because you do them a favor, you're actually doing them an injustice, because they won't go far. I just got goosebumps, man. Rebecca, and you concluding, chief judge, maybe also as the experience in contest, what should we know? What should we remember?
Okay, because I love acronyms, I just want you to remember this. Remember PIE, as in PIE. P is for prepare. Prepare as early as possible to look for your role players, to contact your chief judge, to contact your contest chair, especially if you are somebody who is taking their contest as your part of your project. So prepare on time. The I is for integrity. The rule book should be something that is helping you to ensure that you have a quality contest and you are doing things with excellence. I mean, I remember in one of the clubs, and I was the area director there. So the rule book was saying that for your contestants, you need to announce first place, second place, and third place. And it was only 4 people who contested. And the club said, but it becomes obvious who did not actually make it. Why don't we only announce the first and the second? And we were like, okay, the rule book is saying this. And I think there is a lot of time and a lot of effort for people to say this is how the rule book is looking like. So remember to have your integrity over your feelings. Integrity is very important. And I said E is empower yourself. There are a lot of mentors, there are a lot of coaches that are there that will make sure that they will help you if you're asking for help. Remember, as they are saying that if you are referencing material from other people, what percentage can you do? Or also referencing from, say, Tebogo says, I don't even want to go there. So empower yourself. So remember the pie, prepare, integrity, and empower. And this was awesome. Thank you so much, Tebogo.
Thank you so much, Robin, Rebecca, Wame, and Bame, and those who were asking us questions through the chat box. Thank you so much for being here, for being present. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, a contest, it's a fun activity that challenges you as the participant. And to Rebecca's point, no one stops you from reading the rule book to empower yourself. You don't need to wait for the judges. You don't need to wait for the contest chair. As the VPE, as a member of your club, read the rule book, because just because I was a Toastmaster for 15 years doesn't mean that I know everything. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go out there, have fun. See you next week as the series continues, because there's a lot to unpack and there's a lot to learn and unlearn. Back to you, Linda Butle. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Back to you.
Ooh. Yes, halala, 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 indeed. Thank you to all our speakers of the morning and our facilitator for the morning for such a wonderful session. And ladies and gentlemen, don't you feel like you learned just a little bit more about how to organize that speech contest? Just even if you feel like you just learned that, put your feelings aside, because you are doing a disservice to the contestants by doing them favors. Just that. Don't you feel like that little extra piece of information made you feel that much more confident? I would like to thank all our speakers for the morning, our Zoom masters, our timekeeper, our facilitators, everybody. And I would also like to thank everybody who was attending this session, present, asking questions, and just making this morning as amazing as it was. So ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to yourself for taking time out of your morning and coming to this session and becoming present. Round of applause to yourself.